Let's talk essential oils for grief. Welcome to my channel. I'm Stacy Paulson, and in this video I will be sharing essential oils for grief and also sharing some personal experiences of loss and how essential oils have been helpful. And then stay to the end because I will be sharing my 6 top essential oils for grief. Don't forget to subscribe, click the subscribe button and the bell notification so that you don't miss out on any videos that I'll be creating in the future. So people often ask me what essential oil is good for grief, and specifically what doTERRA essential oil is good for grief, and where do you apply essential oils for emotional healing. If you haven't seen my video on how essential oils work for emotional health, I will attach that below so you can watch that. It's helpful to understand how essential oils work for emotional health. Now, one of my most traumatic experiences I want to share with you, there was a day back in 1997, it was Christmas actually, and my family decided to go snowmobiling. So we went up on the mountain and it was a beautiful day. There was a ton of snow and powder. We all took our turns on these snowmobiles, and it was starting to get later, and my dad asked if I would go up with him on the snowmobile just one last time. Like, oh, it's getting late. Fine, I will. So I did. And we were going up the mountain and we found this great bowl of powder and we were snowmobiling around and we got the snowmobile stuck. And so we were straining and heaving, like we were sweating trying to get this snowmobile unstuck. And I was thinking, we don't want to be on the mountain in the dark. Like that's just not a good place to be. We eventually did get the snowmobile unstuck and it was a great rest of the evening and came down off the mountain, and I just remember thinking this was one of the best days. This is like one of the best, most memorable Christmases I've had. And then we took the snowmobiles back where we rented them from, and we were at my house, or I was at my dad's house, my parents' home, and he decided he was gonna watch some TV, so he's laying there on the couch and I was sitting there with him. Everybody else had gone to bed, and he said, Stacy, can I tell you something I've never told anyone before? My heart kind of sunk. Knowing my dad, that was probably something really heavy. He was a Vietnam veteran. He struggled with post-traumatic stress disorder. He's had addictions and challenges since that time. And I said yes, but was really tentative, wondering what is he going to share. And he proceeds to tell me back when he was in Vietnam, he was on patrol one night and there was movement in his area, and he shot and he killed what he thought was the enemy. But when they woke in the morning, they found that it was one of their platoon members. And he had never said anything. He had never told anyone before that he was the one that shot him. And he carried that with him his whole life. He struggled, was on medications. I remember him being on Prozac, and he just said, this does not make me feel good. Like, it's not helpful. And a lot of times those things that we may use are Band-Aids, and they don't actually get to the root cause of what the problem is. And so these traumatic experiences can cause that, and that happened for my dad. And he never figured out a way of releasing that. Anyway, we go to bed. I'm thinking, that's crazy. I hope it's helpful that he's able to share that with me. And in the morning, I left early before he had gotten out of bed. He was going to go work out at the gym, and I had to go get to work at the bank. And later on that afternoon, I got a phone call from my mom. And she's like, where are you? I'm like, I'm at work. Like, she obviously called me at work. And she said, no, I mean, like, where in the bank are you? And I said, I was out front because I was helping customers. She said, can you take the phone call in the back? I'm like, okay. It just seemed kind of weird, but I remember walking to the back and picking up the phone. And she proceeded to tell me that my dad had gone to the gym to work out, and after he had worked out, he got in the hot tub and he had a heart attack. He said that there was a man there who performed CPR, who was trained in that immediately, but he didn't make it. And I remember being really, really shocked, overwhelmed. I immediately started trying to hunt down my brother, who I needed to find and take him up to the hospital. And it was a really traumatic experience. And if you've experienced loss, obviously if you're watching this, either you have or you know somebody who's going through challenges with grief, it takes time to heal. And what I found is with essential oils that it can help speed up that healing process. Recently, I had one of my friends, her son was hit by a car. He was coming home from school, from elementary school, and he was hit by a car. And through a series of miracles, there was a lady, a nurse that lived on the corner who had come out and was immediately attending to him. They called 911 and the ambulance was in the area, and Life Flight was at the hospital before they even got there to take him, because he had so many injuries, we didn't know if he was going to survive. And I was talking with her a couple days ago, and I was asking her how she's doing, and she's like, oh, not good. She's like, I drive through the intersection and it triggers like all the emotions again. I just want to have a breakdown. Or my other son gets home, even if he's 5 minutes late from carpool, I am starting to think the worst. And she said that she's kind of in a support group, and other women who have had these experiences said, it takes time. And I think of it kind of like with being electrocuted. When we have these experiences that are traumatic, that it's like it fries our nerves. And they had said it takes 6 to 9 months for those to even start healing, right? And what I found with essential oils, like again, that they can help speed up the process. Because when we have an experience, and the natural thing is that we have these emotions that we should feel, and we then process them and we release them. That's normal. That's like what our bodies are made to do. That's the healthy way of dealing with that. But oftentimes we might have these emotions that get stuck, and we're not able to process them and let them go, to release them. And so they get stuck, and they impact us not only emotionally, but physically, can cause problems with our health. They can cause problems in relationships. I think of my dad and his experience, because he wasn't able to process that grief and that sorrow and the guilt that he had felt, that it was stuck, that he found other ways to self-medicate through these addictions. And that's generally what will happen if we're not able to, in a healthy way, process these emotions. One last story before I tell you the top 6 oils. But one of my friends, her husband had passed away at a younger age. Interesting, like he was up in the mountains too. And he had gotten lost, and by the time they found him, he had passed away. And she said she remembers a friend or a neighbor dropping off these 2 oils. In fact, one was called Console and one was called Forgive. And she was like, what am I going to do with these? And she just set them on the shelf. But later, as she would see those and look at them, she eventually said, well, I wonder what it smells like. So she opens the Console and she smells it. And she said it was like an immediate release. It's like I felt different. Like immediately I felt different. She started rubbing on more. Like, I don't know how this works, but I feel different. Like I feel comforted. I feel consoled, like the name of the oil. It's like I didn't know how it worked. But I knew that it was working. And so she said she just started using this oil, like when she started to feel unsupported, feeling down, kind of stuck in those emotions, she would pull out her Console. And then she's like, Forgive. That's interesting. Because a lot of times when we have grief, we also have challenges with forgiveness, because it might be forgiving either our place in the situation, it might be forgiving somebody else. In my situation, it might like forgiving God, forgiving my dad, forgiving doctors who maybe didn't give him the best health support. That by smelling these oils, it helps you to process those feelings and to release the ones that we don't want and have more of the feelings that we do want. So that was a really powerful experience, and how she didn't even know how they worked. She would just gave them a try, and she could immediately feel how helpful that they were. Now, I do want to share with you that not all oils are made equally. You wouldn't want to go, like if you're really care about your feet and you're a runner, you don't go out and buy cheap running shoes. If you are wanting to do really beautiful piano pieces, you wouldn't go out and buy a toy piano, right? You'd find a high quality piano. And that's the same with oils, that most of the oils on the market are synthetic or adulterated, contaminated, diluted. And so you're not going to get the same experience as if you're getting pure, potent essential oils. And that is why I chose to use doTERRA. And if you don't have a starter kit of oils with doTERRA, you can find the links below or at stacypaulson.com, and I can help you get started with your starter kit. But I would warn you against using trashy oils. You just will not get the same experience. And when you're talking about things like grief and emotional health, like they're really important. Okay, so here are the 6 best essential oils for grief. The first one I would say would be Console. Obviously, it's the oil of consolation. It helps you to feel consoled, like somebody is just wrapping you up, like it's going to be okay. You don't have to be the tough, brave one. There's someone there for you. Then Forgive, already mentioned that one, would be another top oil, because oftentimes you're needing to release some anger, some resentment, some hatred. So oftentimes there's things that need to be forgiven, people forgiven, situations forgiven, yourself forgiven. The next one that I love would be Peace. So this is the oil of reassurance, and it helps you to have those peaceful, more tranquil feelings. Another great one is called Serenity. So Serenity is, again, a place of tranquility. Often people will diffuse it. If you're having trouble sleeping at night because of whatever's going on, then Serenity would be a great essential oil to diffuse or to put on, rub it on your pillow. One of my ultimate favorite essential oils is Magnolia. I love this oil. It is so light and refreshing. It's the oil of compassion, and it helps me to feel more compassion for myself and for others. It is just so light and refreshing. You have to smell it to understand. And then the last one is called Adaptiv, and this is the oil of ability. So it's great if you're having those anxious feelings. It helps you to feel able and capable of whatever is needed of you. So depending on how you're feeling, one of these might be, the one right now, and another time maybe something else. But these are my top best essential oils for grief. And then how do you apply them? So how do you put them on to help you? So a great place to put is to massage on the back of your skull. It will help bring those up to the brain, where all of your mood, your emotional processing goes on up there. You can also rub them on the inside of your elbow or on your wrists and then breathe it in. You can get aromatherapy necklaces or jewelry bracelets where you put the oils on little beads, and then throughout the day you're able to smell that. So you're diffusing all the time. You can also soak in a bath. So put a few oils in the bath, and it's just super tranquil and calming. And I do know that these are gifts from God. I know that they can help us physically, but also emotionally, to help us in a healthy way process these emotions. And also, if you want to learn more about essential oils, go ahead and click here. And I have a playlist here, or this is YouTube's pick. And then also don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on my next video that's coming up on doTERRA Balance. This is an amazing essential oil for stress.